guys, and welcome to my channel, Flaying with a 4. In this video we're going to be doing issue 107 of Build the Terminator T-800, and we're going to connect the battery, attach the back of the head and fit an LED into its housing. So sounds pretty cool. So it looks like we're starting to build some of the base, the light of the base, and then the back of the head. So all the pieces are just here. What we're going to do, we're going to take them out and then locate them here again, so then we can come around there and you guys can see us building the back of the head as we do it. So I'm just going to take them out and I'll be back in just a sec. Right guys, now that I've managed to find my battery box, remember you got this to test the light with, so you do have it somewhere. If you were like me, you've probably put it out of the way and you struggled to find it, but it's here. So this came in pretty much one of the early stages of doing this build, and we've had to keep it this long. So wait, what's it saying for us to do? So it says to make sure that the battery box is on the off position, make sure you've got your batteries in place and that they're inside there as well. And then what you need to do is you just need to slide it into the back of his head. So we just do that, push that in there. And then it's saying for us to go ahead and put in the pistons here. So it wants us to put these in. So that is the next thing it's asking us to do. And then after that, it's asking us to do all the connections. I'm guessing maybe because if we start connecting stuff together, it's going to be in the way. To me, I don't think that's going to be in the way. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be in the way at all. I'm just going to see if I can get my screwdriver up in there. So it looks like we might struggle to use that one. We might have to go get a long reach one to get in there. So we'll go grab that and then we'll come back in just a sec. Right guys, so we need to just make sure we get this right. I'm just going to take that out for a second because all it wants to do is slide out of there. These little pieces here, which are 107-4, they're both 107-4, there's two of them. They have a locating top part here where the screw will go into place. So you just need to make sure that the thick end without the locating screw goes into this rigid section there, and it will just sit in place like that for a minute. So just going to spin it around the other way and then pop the other one in. And they just sit in there because in a minute what we'll do is they will go up and they'll go into this hole here. But you need to make sure the head's flat and all your connections are in place. And it will go in there, and then you'll have to put a screw through there into that to hold that in place. And that is going to limit your head movements once that's in place. Your head is not going to be able to spin around as far as it did before. So we are going to do that afterwards. So I'm just going to put that back up. And take that out for a second so we can just show you all the connections on the back of the head. So we just need to put the battery in there, and then the first connection that we need to put on is the one that's closest to the battery, and that should just go there. So we'll just click that into place. So that's the first one, and then they're quite obvious where they go because they're overhanging the section where they need to be. So you just need to then pop the other one into place. Make sure you've got the wires round the right way when you're doing it. I don't think you can get it too wrong, but you want to just be careful if you're doing this. So there's a bigger one here which goes into place, and it does have a little ridge cut out onto the side there, and it's got two little tabs which will fit into there into place. So that kind of indicates that you're not going to get it around the wrong way. And you just push them in, and then you just need to put the other ones in. Okay guys, we just kind of went off a little bit because I wanted to just make sure we got all these connections in right for when we show you where they all go. So I was going to lift it up so you can see. So the red ribbon, I call it the red ribbon because you want to make sure that the red side of the ribbon is to the left hand side facing down towards it, and then you want the blue section to be at the top, so like that. Then as you can see here, the black earth cable is to the left, and then the red one is to the right on this one here. And on the other section you want to make sure that the red is on this side and then the black is on there for what the power bit for the bit that powers up here. And it does give you enough room to be able to switch it off and on and slide it back in. So you can do that, which is pretty neat. And then you've got this one here, which is for the eye. And then also you've got the other one. So there are ones in here for the eye motor, the left eye LED, the power cable, the right eye LED, and the jaw motor. I did have a quick test to see if it all worked. So I did switch it on. So if I put that down there and put that on and press this button at the back, he does come on. He doesn't operate his mouth or his move his eyes or anything like that, but I don't know whether we'll get something to be able to do that later on, maybe a remote or something right at the end. But at the minute, at least we know that the power's going to it, his eyes light up and he looks pretty mean. So this is what we want to achieve. So I'm going to make, because now I'm happy that everything is turning on, I'm just going to switch it back off again and then just tuck all these cabling away inside his head, just so it's out of the way. So you want to just neatly get that all up out of the way there. This power thing is pretty annoying because it's in the way a lot. But I just want to make sure that the power cable isn't in the way when we go to do the rest of it. So remember guys, we do need to now attach these parts, which are the bits I was talking to you about after we did that. So we just need to install that in there. And then what it wants us to do, it wants us to put this little black screw through here. This is going to be a bit of a challenge, and then on the end of it, it wants us to put a little rubber grommet on there as well. So it's saying for us to put a little rubber grommet on there. So you want the rubber grommet and that, and then what you got to do, your challenge, is to get this inside the back of the head here and then hold that in there. So I'm going to have to make sure that this is magnetized. So I'm going to go grab a few magnets to make sure we've got a nice strong hold on it, because if we don't put magnets on there and make sure we've got a magnetized one, this screw is going to be lost inside his head somewhere. I can guarantee that. So we're just going to get these off quickly, make sure it's nice and magnetized until that is magnetized on there. So that is, and then I've got to get that inside the head. So this cabling is a little bit in the way, so I wouldn't tuck it out of the way right now. Inside there, up to here, in this corner up here. And I don't know whether it is going in or not. I don't know if the head needs to tilt forward a bit more. It's a bit difficult to tell whether we're even getting it in there. I guess the only way to tell is to screw it up and see whether that comes out or not, and it doesn't. So that's what they wanted to do. We've got to go flip over the other side. You're not going to see that because it is the other side. We're going to go flip over and do that side, and then we'll be back in just a sec, guys. Alright guys, so once you've done these little piston heads, they are a bit of a nightmare to do, to be fair. You do need to just sort of hover it off the edge of the table, get a torch and just sort of see where you're putting those in. But once you've got them there, they are pretty cool. So it does limit you to turning the head, so I wouldn't recommend roaring the head round. You are going to snap that off, so keep it straight. It can only just have a very small movement now, so don't do as much. You still got your up and down motion, but yeah, there you go. Right, the next thing we need to do, we need to add magnets into the top of the, or the back of the head, because we're going to be fitting this. So you get two different sizes. So you get two big thick ones, which just go, they're really easy to go in. They just go in the top there. I don't know whether you can get them round the wrong way or not. So I'm not too sure on that. I don't know whether it's worth perhaps checking it on the back of his head first, if I can actually get these two apart, which I can't. The magnet is so tough. And then checking it on the back of the head, so we would tilt it a little bit. But as you know, where these magnets are on, this will attach to the back of the head, so it goes that way round. And then you need to make sure that when they're going into here and connecting onto there, that it connects on the right way. So we know that that's the way around it wants to go. So we'll glue it in down that way in there. So, right guys, once you've glued in the magnets in the back of the head, we're going to let that dry off before we test fit, because the worst thing you want to do is, you know, be too keen, pop the back of the head on, and then the magnets stick to it and they don't stay inside. So we're going to just let that dry off for a moment, and we're going to move on to doing a step 9, 10 and 11 at the moment, and that is to do the LED that's going to go on the base. So the first thing what it wants us to do is to grab the LED. It's actually really well cable tied together, to be fair, guys. So that just sits like this. Again, we don't really get to test it. I mean, if you had your tester board, you could probably maybe test it on there. I don't know whether it would fit or not, but it doesn't really show you. It wants you to go and grab, it doesn't really say the section, but I think it's this one. So I'm just going to check. So yeah, so you need to go grab 107-7, which is this piece here. And the LED, by the sounds of it, just sits inside this casing. Like so, and you want to do it so it's LED face downwards, and then so that the cabling goes on the back of itself. So then it should sit in like that, and then it will sit on there like this. And then while you're holding it, what you need to do is you need to feed this up through this section. So this is 107-7, and that needs to go up through that hole there. And you just let it fall down, and then that will go on there and then hold all that into place. If it does, let's have a look. So yeah, so that goes in like that. So while that's in place, you just need to make sure that all of those line up well. I guess if this LED moves, then it's not going to let you line it up. So there you go, that's got it there. So you just need to check to make sure that all your bits are going to line up and put in the screws. So it wants us to put in, it doesn't say the screws here, 107-8 are the screws, and they're just these little small ones. There's not actually too many of these here, so we could possibly just go ahead and put them in because there's not many there to do, and it won't take long to do them up. So that's just one. And then the second one, it's good having a magnetic screwdriver because it does help a lot when you're doing things like this. Just making sure you guys can see okay. So that just goes into there. And then get this one. And we're going to pop that into there. Hopefully the time we're done this light, the head will be, back of the head will be dry enough for us to have a nice little test fit. See if it all goes on. And then this one goes in there. There we go. So that's it. So that's what it wants to look like. So you put those 107-8s in there, and then obviously the 107-7 on top of that, and then it looks like this. And then you've got the little LED in there, so they're going to be the little display lights. So they're going to be pretty cool. Turn around this way, and it says for us to pop in the LED lens. At the minute, it's not telling us whether we need to glue it in or anything like that. So looks like it just kind of sits in there and pushes in. So we'll see if that's the case. So yeah, there's just a little LED lens there, and it makes it look really nice. So that's that. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to feed it through this housing here. So we've got this little housing, and we need to feed it through that. So you just need to put that through there, all the way through, until you get up to here. And then the light is going to be on like some sort of pivot. So when you are screwing this in, do make sure that you don't snag that cable in if you can, because you do not want to catch that. On one side you just have to put in a tiny little bolt which goes on that one side there. Hold that with your finger as you spin it around. Then you just need to get your, I would say it's a screw, but it's pretty much a little bolt. And then make sure that that goes through to the other side. You want to make sure it goes through the hole, so make sure your hole lines up. Make sure it's not got no wire in there getting in the way. So that would be the worst thing, is that the wire was there. And put that through, and then that will go through to the other end, and that will go into your bolt. Don't raw this up again, just make sure it just goes in enough that it holds it in place. There you go. And then you should be able to move this backwards and forwards like that. So as you can see, that moves up and down, so you can angle it however you want. So that's one of the LEDs. So that's really cool. It's a really nice way of doing it, putting it all together. We're just going to go through the magazine, and before we end it, we'll check if that back of the head fits really nicely. So we've got Bloodshot, we've got Film Data Blast again, we've got Vin Diesel in there. We've got Swallowing the Surgeon. And then in the next one, cool, this is going to be really amazing. So in the next one, to continue work on the base and add rock details. So it looks like we're coming up to the part where we'll be building the base on this, guys. Cannot wait to do that with you. If you like this video, obviously remember to give it a thumbs up. Please like, share and subscribe. And we'll fit the head, and then we'll see you on the next one. Let's just check that it goes on okay. So we sit this around this way and put that up in there. Make sure that that's inside okay. All of this should go over enough to cover up. Just gotta make sure that all this cabling is not getting snagged anywhere. I don't know if the back of the head's going to go on as easy as I thought it might. Let's have a look. It's proven to be a bit more difficult than I thought, so we'll have to look into that, guys. We'll probably cover that on the next video, and we probably might have to just call those in there out the way, and then we'll test fit the head. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.